All right, it's time to begin. Welcome, as always, to the weekly stream held in our Discord server. To preface, everything here is strictly for educational purposes, nothing is financial advice. Please do all of your own due diligence prior to making any trades. Let's see, got nothing in the chat, so if you guys have been here before, you guys basically know the drill. We'll go over some flow. You guys can request contracts, ask questions about the site, the features, how to do X, Y, Z, etc., etc. Markets are having a bit of a tumble, but what I did notice, I mean, if you just zoom out, like we're trading at where we were last week, so it's obviously like every stock on my watch list is red, but you know, not it's not that bad out there really. So let's give me some flow. Give me some flow. I'm gonna look in the flow discussions channel and see what I see. Oh, I wasn't scrolled down all the way. Let me see. Oh, nope. Okay, so let's see. The first one someone wants to talk about is that Core's multi-legger. So let's see. What was that? It was February, right? Yep, there it is. So cores, yep, I just saved the long leg. So there was a three-legged trade here for 50,000 contracts total. Well, each contract, so 150 contracts total, but the total position is 50,000 size, I guess we could say. Um, so let's take a look here. So we can see that if you just take a look at the volume in the open interest for every single one of these trades that is attached, it's quite a discrepancy, right? There's quite a gap. So very clear openers. We know all three of these contracts have opening activity going on. And if we take it at face value, then we have an ask side call, a bid side call of a higher strike. So we have an ask side 17 February, bid side 22 February, and then a bid side put expiring in February as well. So if we take this at face value, it could be a call debit spread, which is which would be these two trades right here, which is also accompanied by a short put to credit said trade. So what would be the net entry for such a trade? So if it is indeed as I said it is, if it is indeed a call spread, a call debit spread, and a short put spread, then how we would calculate the total entry is if we assume that the average price paid is their price, which is pretty much the case since there's so much size. So to buy a 17C would cost you 222. If you shorted the 22C, then you would decrease the cost of entry by 101. And then if you also wrote a 12P, and again, we're just speculating on what they're doing here. If you also shorted the 12P, then you would also decrease your cost basis by a further 114. So in theory, they could have paid just 7 cents per contract. Now, there is a lot of risk. Now, if Coors goes to zero, then they're out quite a bit of money. Now, it probably won't go to zero, but what's it trading at right now? It's trading at around 15 bucks. So just know the risk when you're putting on this type of trade. I said it only cost them $7 to get in, but that's not their risk. Their risk is much larger than $7. We can go over that maybe some other time. PJ stocks too high asking any big index puts. I mean I've seen some on Twitter that are doing pretty good. Let me see. There was one yesterday. I think it was the SPY 670 end of month. This thing had a 8,000 size opener yesterday. As you can see, the multi-leg activity was close to none. Large volume, large change in open interest, with all that volume coming in at the ask, right? So just using different, just we're stringing different pieces of information together, right? So like if we have volume is greater than open interest, if it's a single candle, if that single candle was at the ask, if that volume was single leg activity, and if we also see an increase in open interest the next day, then then you have a for sure opener. Um, but before you even saw the open interest, if we just looked at yesterday, right? Pretend you don't see this half of the thing we're only looking at here. Yesterday morning, you would have seen 8,000 contracts very likely opened, given that 8,000 is larger than 6,671. So opening trade at the ask. What does the tape look like if it can give us any look? So as you can see, so you know how I always say look at the tape to see how the tape behaves? This is actually kind of a pretty good example here. So all of this, all these transactions are that 8,000 plus size trade, right? They're all taking place within the same 30 seconds. So we have 10, 40, 29 fills here. We've got 10, 40, 51s, 10, 40, 54, 56, 59. Cool, cool, cool. Look at this first 10, 40, 29 timestamp. So look at everything that takes place from here. Now, we have to read, if we want to look at the feed, how things took place in the order that they took place, then we would look at it from the reverse order, right? So new trades will come in from the top. The lower down in the screen you go, the further back in the day the trades were, right? So these 4 lines here were the first 4 executions for this trade, right? So you can see the volume is going up, right? We're going up. Maybe that confused you more than it needed to, because I did not explain it very well. But as you can see in this 10:40:29 timestamp, we have the bid ask was 344, 347. We have ask side fills here directly on the ask. In the same timestamp, we have the bid and the ask both rising and the spot rising as well. So they're clearing out, whoever this trader was, they cleared out every single existing 347 ask. Then the market makers came in with a 348, 349, all in this same timestamp. They even got a 350 fill, 350, right? So in this same 10:40:29 second, in this millisecond effectively, so like I guess if like that's what people think is quote unquote like above the ask, but like it's not really. It's just pushing the ask higher, if that makes sense. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Put a 2 if that makes no sense. But I mean the timestamps, like all these trades are taking place at the same time pretty much. Or not pretty much, they are. They're taking place at the same time. Bid, ask, spot. Look at the relationship between the 3. Pretty clearly buying. Now let's look at another timestamp. Here is, do we have anything else going on here? So the 10:40:51. So in this timestamp, it all fills at 350. What's the next one? 40:54. These all fill at 351. Okay, cool. So maybe like the intel from yesterday, which I thought was a short call, the tape looked funny in a different kind of way. So people saw this flow yesterday and thought it was, they thought it was like they thought it was call buying, but I don't think it was. So like, let's take a look at the tape here. I gotta find the screenshot. Okay, so, all right, so look at this tape. We have volume, right? 2,000 volume, that's something. It's not filling in the same timestamps. It's coming in across like multiple minutes even, right? So it doesn't really look like someone's buying. If we go back to those SPY puts, where are they at? If we go back to those SPY puts, I think we saw sweeps among them as well. What premium did I have before? 25K? Yeah, okay, so I had 25K, yeah. So I mean, they're sweeping that 10:40:29 timestamp, swept, right? Just boom. Picking up the first 5,000 plus contracts. Whereas this Intel, like, there's no sweep. Doesn't look like they're fucking pounding the door trying to get in. if you look at, okay, so it does say ask. It's all ask, quote unquote. It's all at or closer to the ask. But let's look at the tape. 205, 210. It's filling at 209. Okay, so that's technically closer to the ask. 205, 211, 210. Okay, that's technically closer to the ask. Technically closer. Technically closer. Technically. It's never filling at the ask, right? They're not. There's no. It doesn't look the same, right? They're not filling at the ask. They're filling it somewhere in the mid. It just doesn't really feel that good. And I feel like the core weave. Ah, shit! I deleted it. What was that crazy core weave one? Like the 385. I think when I looked back at the 385, it kind of looked the same when I went back to look at it. I don't remember what expiration was. It December? December 19th, 385. No, 385. Someone remembers. Come on, help me out here. Core weave. What am I gonna do? How do I find this? Core weave. Okay, anyways. But yeah, the tape, okay? The tape is pretty critical. These just don't look like they were being bought at all. Let's look at more timestamps for this. So let's just look at the rest of the day. Keep the premium to 5,000. Okay, so we're pretty much seeing all 5,000 plus transactions of the day for the Intel 46 February calls. So again, let's just take a look at the timestamps. It's just never like, okay, yes, it fills at the ask. Did I just see one? Okay, no, I guess I didn't. It just never fills at the, okay, nope. Just never fills at the ask. Just never. So did I see one? Okay, so I see one. I see one right here. Okay, there's one right here. There's another one right here. There's another one right here. Okay, but like that's like 4 fucking lines out of all of these. So just look at the tape. Okay, the chart does not help with everything. Okay, I say that every stream. It's because it's so fucking important. Now I read the tape wrong frequently. I forget which one it was. It was some ALB. I think it was this one, which I thought was a short call. I thought these were a short call initially. And they've like 14x'd, so if you shorted those, did they get rid of them? Nope, they never got rid of them. Maybe some the next day, but still open interest was pretty high, and they were only added to. So that one was a whiff. This one was an add as well. We can see the open interest here on October 7th, 8,000 volume traded, large increase in open interest. So yeah, the tape. All right, let's get back to the chat. Jobby. So JOBY 15P January, 6,888 volume, 3,343 interest. So, pretty clear opening activity going on here. Love to see no multi-leg. Not that multi-leg activity is bad necessarily, but it just makes analyzing the flow just like a little bit easier. This is like a high IV situation, isn't it? Just generally. Can I scroll to the right? My mouse is busted. Slylos, tell me what the IVR is for Jobby, please. Type it in the chat if you are there. All right, let's look at the Jobby tape. Let's unfold this thing. 64 IVR, he says. All right, let's take a look at the tape. So 12/14/03 timestamp. It's just filling at the ask code. It's filling at the ask, but it's not really giving you any clues. Like there's no, the bid stays 195 the whole time. The ask stays 205 the whole time. So while this is at the ask as opposed to the Intel, it's not necessarily like it's or similarly to the SPY, it's not as much of a clue. Like we don't have any increasing fill during this specific timestamp only, right? It's just a 205 thing. Let's see, a minute later, more activity coming in at 210. Does this timestamp have anything? 215. or 12:15:37, 12:15:37. So possibly, I don't know. So the way that there's like a 210 bid in the same timestamp kind of makes me like it raises questions as to whether or not there was a 210 bid this that like existed the whole time. And if the bid ask was not actually 210, 215 for this whole thing, in which case all of these would have shown up at the bid, which is confusing. Uh, it's confusing as fuck. It's because it's not a real science. It's just uh, it's just like just a way to analyze the tape. Think about it's not even analysis because it's not a real science. We're just trying to interpret the tape to the best of our ability, I guess, is how we want to look at it. It's now I'm not necessarily saying that they're shorted, but like it just kind of it gives me a little bit of pause. IV does go up. There's more transactions taking place, so hard to say. I mean, this is just like a very volatile name in general. If you look at the returns, it has plenty of big days in either direction. Bitcoin 98K. All right, let's see what else. Someone's asking about the BBY. Which one's that? Is that Best Buy? All right, there we go. Best Buy. The next week, 75 put, which does not overlap earnings apparently, but always double check your earnings dates, folks, because earnings data is criminally bad across anywhere you look, unfortunately. So what we have here is a pretty clear opener, right? We have, last time I looked at it, I looked at the stats up here, but the daily stats are available here as well. So we have 1,300 volume, 800 open interest. So if it's taking place in one go, the 13,000 or the 1,300 contracts are surely being opened, right? Fully at the bid or the ask. In this case, at the ask, we're going to look at the tape just to look at it and just to see what we see. No multi-leg activity, so that's good. And let's take a look at the tape. What is this? Okay, so the BBVY 75p. So in this instance, we don't really get any. Doesn't look like we get much context clues here. The bid does drop, or the ask rather, just does drop at the end for some of these end fills, but like I don't really think that matters too much. We have just one timestamp, and the spot is the exact same. So there's not really much to analyze here, which is sometimes the case. Yeah, it just is what it is. BBBY, not overlapping earnings allegedly. I mean, the market's pretty red right now. I mean, right? So there could be hedging going on, right? There's not really much call activity. There was like the only time calls went up today was like right here during this little fake pump. But for the rest of the day, just calls nowhere to be found. All right, let's keep going here. Supra is asking about the NB. Let's just use the search bar. Let's see here. The NB 12.5C 1219. There we go. Oh, there it is. Shared by Supra. There it is. Yesterday. So yesterday we had this opener. There was one more you asked for. I'll pull that up as well. 15C. There. Okay, so did this save to my thing? Okay, so we have two contracts here. Both, okay, well, not both, or yeah, both with opening activity, right? So we can see yesterday, we're looking at the 2-day chart here. So yesterday, a 3,600 size candle with large increase in open interest. So that's good. That's good. We're gonna look at the tape though, just because we have to look at the tape. And yesterday as well, the NB15C with a large opener as well. Large change in open interest. Yada yada yada. Name is down quite a bit. Is it like an earnings drop, or is it just like the market is red and a high beta small cap is just getting shit on type of dump? Let's see here. So we got the 10, 14, 48 timestamp where they all fill at 20. Just not screaming many clues. Unfortunately, it is what it is sometimes. Yeah, so it was earnings. This is earnings flow, I guess. Um, what was the size on that? The size was 36 here. What about on the 15? This one was 4,000, so I guess they're not related. What did the flow look like here? So we have the 12 or the 10, 12, 39 timestamp, which kind of leaks into the 10, 12, 40 timestamp a little bit. So like we can consider all of this the same transaction effectively, I think. So I mean, it's possible that the bid ask was just 15, 20. It's possible. Now I'm saying now you might be confused because you're like, oh, the bid ask has zero, it says 5 and 15 here, and that's like the visible bid ask. There's like a hidden bid ask, and you don't know that it's hidden, but like market makers are competing for everyone's business. There's like a hidden bid ask sometimes, which is like where a lot of the confusion comes in, where like people are like, oh, but like it's filling at the ask, so it's clearly a buy, but like it's not always clearly a buy or clearly a sell. Sometimes it's just really ambiguous. So the 15C may be a sell. I mean, like a 140% earnings lotto. If you asked me just to guess which way it was going, I mean, I'd probably say short. Which is just, I mean, like that's not actually DD, right? I'm just saying, yeah, given what it sounds like, rather be short. This one, I'm not sure. But again, 100% out of the money. What is this thing? Neobiome. Neobiome. Neo. I don't know what it is. Can't even read. All right. Sorry, I could not give you some more analysis. Let me see here. You wrote in the chat, NB earnings are weird. On site says one day, and another says a completely different day. NB is a rare earths critical minerals company, and the whole sector is red. Okay. Yep. So indeed, like you said, earnings data is weird. You have to go to the source. Like so, when let's go to the earnings calendar. Didn't we? Oh, we used to have. Are you in the chat? Dan, are you listening? If you're listening, actually, I'm just going to text it to you. There used to be a thing that we'd have a green dot if it was actually confirmed, but that thing disappeared. Earnings page, green dot when earnings are confirmed no longer shows up. All right, so hopefully someone will log a bug and we can get that taken care of. So yeah, what you said material sectors all red. Yeah, not great day across the board. What's the SPOO's doing? Yeah, so we're just hanging out lows of the day. Probably not going anywhere. I mean, given the data, if I had to guess, I mean, there's always an EOD scam pump that could happen, but it does not look like anyone is positioned for such a thing. Let's move on here. Someone is posting the SSRM 24 December expiration. So again, let's just look at some basic characteristics of the trade to figure out what's opening, or to figure out if it is opening. And you can't always tell from the chart, but you can sometimes, most of the time tell, I think. And in this case, it's pretty clear that some opening activity is taking place, given that there's not a whole lot of open interest, but there's a whole lot of volume. So that's a good check. Again, we want to see. Well, actually, you don't, because of that whole thing where the bid doesn't necessarily mean it's a sell and the ask doesn't necessarily mean it's a buy. Because of that, I guess technically the bid ask percentage doesn't really matter. But for the sake of like filtering flows and stuff, like we have to do some kind of like show me contracts where it's 70% ask, like, or 70% bid, right? We have to start somewhere. it's not always going to be relevant, but like you have to give ourselves some starting point if you want to use any kind of scanners, right? Like if you're saying, hey, show me contracts that are okay, so let's say 5,000 volume to open interest ratio, we'll say 1.25. Uh, let's see, minimum premium traded on the contract. Where are you at? Premium. Let's say 250K. What are the characteristics? Let's get a low multi-leg percentage. Uh, okay, so we filtered for pretty much everything that I would filter for except for the bid-ask skew, right? So like, let's see, I'm just gonna start clicking around on some contracts and let's see if we see any like noticeable candles of opening activity. So here possibly, but like I think BP might have X dividend tomorrow, so we can just ignore that. Okay, so we're getting kind of lucky in seeing some openers here, but I think if we keep going, we won't. Yeah, so here's one where that's not so clear, another one that's not so clear, another one that's not really clear. Just stuff. We need to start somewhere, right? So like let me start looking, or let me start looking for stuff that is either 70% plus at the ask, or either 70% or more at the bid, right? So I have stuff that's either 70% or more at the bid, or 70% more at the ask. We've already saw the XOM stuff, so like most of these should be fairly clearly opening activity. Whether or not the flow is meaningful is another matter. This is just for the purposes of scanning, right? Like if you're trying to build a scanner, you got to start somewhere. You got to have, you can't scan the whole sea of ocean of contracts without some kind of, show me contracts that are trading with more ask side or more bid side activity. You got to start somewhere. Um, so yeah, that's why we look for stuff that's at the bid or the ask, but it's not a gospel of whether or not it's a buy or sell. So let's get back to this because I went on a little tangent. Okay, so the opening, clearly opening volume, good, good, good. No multi-leg percentage, which means there's nothing else for us to look at, so we can proceed. Total premiums are good. And we can see this activity causing this jump in the net premiums, 250K. And if we eyeball it, it is, my eyeball tells me it's like 160. So that's fine because there's some mid activity here which wouldn't get counted. So that could account for it not being the full 242. But anyways, let's take a look at the tape. I see out of the corner of my eye, my Amazon is going lower. What's Spoo's doing? Yeah, we just made a new daily low. All right, so let's take a look at the SSRM. Let's give ourselves a 5K minimum. Maybe that's too big. 1K. All right, so we can effectively see every contract, or every trade rather, of the SSRM 24 December that was traded today. So let's see. So then the trade that took place at 9:44 in the morning is not relevant. We want to see the stuff in the afternoon. So looks like it starts here. Looks like it starts at like around 2:31:44, possibly. In the same minute, but not really hugging timestamps. There is some more volume. What is this timestamp? The 2:33. There's only 3 here. I don't know. It just doesn't really feel. Very, very buy-y. It doesn't feel like urgent. It could work out. It could be buys, but like, I don't know. I just really like the way that SPY flow just looks so good. If I had seen that in the moment, that would have been great. Because that just looks. It just looks so. It's the way that the fills are behaving. Like I don't know if I've ever seen such a beautiful example, to be honest. What time is it? Okay, so it's 3 o'clock. I need to remember. At around 3 o'clock, go back to this time. Where's my freaking piece of paper? There it is. 3 o'clock. Stream. Go back. All right, yeah. So that's just like such a beautiful example. 10, 40, 29. Just raising the bid and the ask the whole time. Sweeping it as well. So yeah. And they're still in the position. What was that? 348 fill, trading at 8 plus. So you do the math. That's a pretty nice trade. All right, let's move on in the chat. Tilray. Tilray. Raise your hand if you've lost money on Tilray. Tilray 1.5 December's. What December date? 12/26. Honestly, I don't care what the flow looks like. It could be as beautiful as that SPY. Just save your money. Fuck this cursed stock. Yeah, just save your money. I have no position anymore. I got rid of this shit a long time ago. Not soon enough, however. All right. BE, the BE. 1219 110p. 1219 110p. So we have some flow on the 11th. Now the volume and the open interest was so close there that, you know, this might not have popped up on scanners because the volume to open interest ratio on here was what? It's like 1, or it's 1.1. So it's like it's hardly anything, right? So it doesn't really stand out on any scanner. If you saw it in the moment, then you could maybe reason, right? So like, oh, you know, was there 1,000? Does someone own 1,000 contracts? If I look in the open interest, I mean, someone might own 450 or yeah, 480 here, 450 here. So maybe I could have thought, oh, that could be closing, but lo and behold, the open interest goes up, so it is opening. This could be them, but wait, so what the size here? 400? It could be one of these guys as well. What if we zoom out to 2 weeks? Do we see any 400 size candles? 413, that's close enough. Is there a 400 size trade here? What is that? That's 400. That's 400 on the dot. 244. 244 plus 40 plus 116 is 400. So, whether to buy or not, I don't know. But I am fairly certain that this and this is the same person. Again, whether or not, if this is a short put and they're buying it back, that sucks for them. If it's a long put and they sold it here, also good for them. Check the open interest tomorrow. I suspect that we see it drop. It also just doesn't really make sense for someone to be buying a 110p when the stock is 105. So likely a close, definitely a close. I very much like that the math just gave us a 400, 400. That's very nice. Was this exactly 400 as well? Yep. So exactly 400. It's not always that clean, honestly. Sometimes you just got to go with the candle size. I mean, the QQQ 635 was a pretty easy read. You have an 8,000 plus size candle here, a candle of 4,000, another candle of 4,000. That one was an easy read. Any other ones that I still have? Probably not. The sphere, we can look at the sphere. They opened here, they opened here. So what date was this? September 11th, September 12th. Openers, openers, September 11th, September 12th. Yep, open, open. That was around 1,700 contracts, we'll say. And their sell was 1,800 candle, so close enough to 17. What activity was this on the 24th? Was there an increase in open interest on September 25th? There sure was. So someone added there. So actually that adds up directly pretty much to 1,800. So Whoever this was probably did that, and then closed there. And then obviously missed a big move higher. But just like looking at the candle sizes to get a feel for it, to get a feel for like what could be related is a useful skill. Oh, another good example. Meta. Was it the 540? Sure was. So yesterday in the morning, we saw this activity, which totaled 1600 candle here, 1700 candle here. So this was 3300 volume. 3300 volume. I thought they were both opening trades, but they weren't. And how do I know that they weren't? How do I know that they both weren't? I know that one of them was, the first one was, the second one wasn't, and I know it wasn't because, like I said, 1600 size or 1600 candle, 1700 candle, 3300. If both of these were opening, we would have seen open interest be at least 3300 or so. Now, it did go up a fair amount, but it only went up because this first candle was an opening trade, and then they handed it off to someone else who carried it into the close. So this is not a short put, or it could be, but like it's not the trade that we thought it was. And open interest being available in the pre-market is very handy. You could see that in the pre-market and make a decision from there. What other open interest change was there? So I saw people posting about the QQQ. Was it the 640? Yeah, so the 640 1212 had a bunch of activity yesterday. 40,000 plus contracts traded, but open interest only goes up by 12,000, right? So clearly not all 40,000 people held, right? Open interest doesn't do what you think it should do had all of these held. So open interest tells you it's like when the dust settles, what happens? What happened, right? So it's a very important thing to look at. Volume and open interest. I don't know how many times on the stream I say volume and open interest. I say it probably 100 times at least. It's just that important. It is that important. Without volume, there's no flow. Without open interest, there is also no flow, right? You have to the open interest has to go up. They have to be in the trade for there to be flow. So important stuff. Someone says, I can't see the screen. Can someone mention what the contract was? So the SPY contract that we were discussing was the SPY 670 put expiring on November 28th. I will drop a link to it in the Discord chat now. So if you click on the link, it will open to exactly the 2-day view showing you this. If you open this link tomorrow, it'll still show you the 2-day view, so this candle won't be there. So simply just change it to the 3-day view if you wish to see that. All right, so the URL is coded to the 2-day view. Doesn't matter what day you look at it, it's always going to show you 2 days. So if you want to look at this tomorrow during regular trading hours, in the pre-market, you'll be good. You can still see this chart, but once the regular trading hours start, you'll need to go to 3 days to see it. All right, that is it for contracts in the chat. Does the feed have anything? So we're still trading at just exactly the low of the day, pretty much. Bounce there. Do we get anything? Do we come back some? The straddle got killed. Someone is posting net 207p next week. What is the earnings date? Not an earnings trade. Let's take a look at the tape. We might be able to see the whole tape without adding any premium because it's not a very large trade yet. So we can see the whole tape of the day for this specific contract. So there was some activity at 11 in the morning. Don't care about that. When does the real volume start? So the real volume starts at 133.41. 133.41. Let's just look at the timestamps here. So how far up do we go? All right, so we go up pretty far. Does the bid ask do anything? Bid-ask stays pretty firm at like 430 or 425, 430. It's pretty much filling at 430. There are some 425s, so it's not we're not getting the clues that we want. Now it's not dissuading us necessarily, but it's not screaming at us the way that that SPY was screaming at us. With the fills increasing, the fills went up what, like 4 cents during that 1 millisecond or whatever. You don't see that every day. You really don't. And that just might mean that there's just no liquidity in that contract, and that just happened to be like that. But uh, yeah, that's just a golden example. Beautiful example. That is it for the chat. Oh no, we got IBIT. Fucking IBIT. Oh, I picked the worst time to buy some IBIT. 1219, 56C. 56C. So we have a 1500 plus size candle with open interest being here. I think we can reason it's an opening trade. 600K plus premium, so sizable. Now, I don't know if crypto related flows are that great. We'll still look at it, but let's think about the likes of like Master, Coin, um, Mara. These names just kind of shitty sometimes. Not really getting any context clues. So there's not much to analyze, which is also sometimes the case, right? The feed doesn't give us everything we want all the time. Now there are some sweeps. Some of the contracts were swept, and you might be asking like, why aren't they all? If one of them is, why aren't they all? And I think, well, I was gonna say different exchanges may label different things as sweep, but these all took place on the same exchange, so I guess that is just not true. I don't know why. That's an interesting question. But yeah, IBIT. Pretty rough month to say the least. Yeah, it's like a month the peak. Yeah. All right. Moving on with the RSP. Is that equal weight thingy? Yep. All right. RSP 116, 194. So indeed we have clear opener. We don't even have to wait because the open interest is already here because it's like a few days old. Cool. All right. So let's take a look. So the trade is down a little bit. It's down like 25% or so. Let's take a look at the tape. So the tape, the fills are increasing here. So I mean, like it looks like a buy. We know that the fills are increasing again because as you go up, the feed goes up, right? So the first trade of the day of one size means the contract has one volume. When there's another trade of one size, the volume is now 2. Again, a trade of 1, 3, 2, 5, etc., etc. So all of this took place at the same time. So I mean, like it looks like a buy to open, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's still time. There's still time for the guy. Where's my freaking seasonality data? The one with the reindeers. That one. Bro, I just have it bookmarked, so I just don't know where it is in the menu. Seasonality. Thank you. What's the contract? RSP. So November is supposed to be green. It is supposed to be green. Oh. Might have a little something something coming later. Might have a little something something. It's just remarkable how it just does the same shit every year, right? Truly, nothing ever happens. Truly. I think if we look at SPY, I think we're exactly, yeah, I mean, come on. Just buy and hold, right? Not shit stocks, but like, VOO, the good shit, the good shit. Um, Damn, we got a 5% November day. It's huge. Back in 2022. I think someone said Thursdays are pretty bad. Nothing really stands out. All right. Let's see. Last one in the chat we got is the NTGR 1219 26P. We can read the contract pretty clearly this way as well. Volume 1000. Okay. 9 open interest. Okay, so probably an opener. Now, it could be a 500 open and then a 500 close. So, but you can see that on the chart. So we'll take a look. So we have 1,000 volume, 9 open interest. So some openers took place certainly. No other contracts to analyze in conjunction with this one. Excuse me. And premium is 130,000. Cool. Let's take a look. So indeed, it is not like a 500 open close deal. It's just a singular 1,000. I guess we actually have to look at the tape. Yep. So the tape tells us it is indeed just like a large trade. Where was that other one volume? 111. So I mean, like, I presume this is them, right? It's 1,000 volume for the day. Does it sound plausible that someone did 998 and then 2 other people did 11? It's possible, right? But like, it's also probably more likely that it's the same person. Maybe they just couldn't get a fill. This just has such shit liquidity. Is it a sell? What is this thing? Netgear. Is this one of those like 2022 life was good and then it became not good? No. So who knows? Let's see. We got SPOO's 6/20 February puts. So yeah, I guess this is a good example, right? So if you just saw SPY 6/20p February, you see 12,000 volume, 3,800 open interest. You might just think to yourself, "Oh, okay, 12,000 size," which wouldn't really be the right way to think about it. You have to actually look to see what the volume looks like. Um, and indeed, it's 2 candles of the same size, so it could be an in and out, very similarly to this, very similarly to this, because this was an in, this was an out. So it is also very possible that this is an in and this is an out. And how will we know? We will know because the open interest will tell us. And this is actually kind of an okay example. So let's see here. Okay, so each candle is 6,000. So we have 6,000 size, 6,000 size. So open interest is 3,800. So actually, let's just pretend open interest is 0. Okay, just for the sake of this, pretend open interest is 0. So if open interest is 12,000, then you know for certain that both of these were opening trades. You don't know if they were buys to open or sells to open. You just know that they are opening trades. Now, we're either going to see something like, well, since open interest is 38, there's other variables to think about. But in our example, if it's 12,000, you know that they were both opened. If open interest is 0 to 6,000, then you know that this was an open and this was a handoff of a partial handoff. So that means that this was open, someone closed their contracts, but there was someone on the other end to pick them up for them. So that's why the open interest could still increase tomorrow. What other values could it be? Could it be between 6,000 and Yeah, it could, in theory, it could be between 6,000 and 12,000 too. Uh, right? Yeah. So like, let's just say the first 6,000 is Joe buying 6,000. Let's just say he puts up 3,000 for sale. I come in and buy 6,000, which is 3,000 plus his 3,000, right? So that's only creating another 3,000 contracts, right? Because there's 3,000 for sale. I want 6,000. So the market makers only need to come up with another 3,000. So in that case, open interest would be 9,000. Uh, yeah, I mean, open interest is crazy shit. So we'll see what it does tomorrow. Given that there's already 3,800 open interest, that throws a wrench into this like very clean math that we've try to do here. So like, what are the values it could be? So like, it could go up to now. It's tricky because contract handoff is a thing, right? Like, both of these contracts could be opening trades, and the open interest might only go up by let's say open interest goes to 12,000 on the dot. If it goes to 12,000 on the dot, that means that there was a contract handoff of no, so, or that means that all 3,800 contracts in open interest were picked up by someone to accommodate their opening trade. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just it sounds complicated. You gotta look at it. It takes screen time. I don't know how to say it. You gotta look at volume, open interest. You gotta see what it does every time you follow some kind of contract, right? Every morning I get up here when the open interest update takes place. I sort by the greatest changes. Not all of these are going to be useful. It only matters to me if there was flow from yesterday that I was tracking, right? So yesterday, the Merck 100 Aprils had what looked like a double, like an ad. So that was an open interest update that I was very interested in, right? So in the pre-market, I was just scanning, oh, that Merck one that I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, more open interest. So what happened yesterday was we saw this Merck volume. Well, I guess on Tuesday we can say we saw this volume, but then yesterday we saw this. We weren't sure if this was an add or a sell, so this was something that required an open interest check, right? That tells us that this was an opening trade. Now we're gonna have to do another open interest check tomorrow because there's a trade of similar size. So this is just another contract that you're gonna have to follow up on. Now, I sort by greatest changes in open interest, and I also need to sort by greatest decreases open interest because I want to track contracts that I know or that I saw had activity yesterday. I want to follow up to see if my theory was correct or not. So yesterday we saw 5,000 plus of the UNH 250p traded, which I had been tracking for quite some time because I had seen someone. Nope, we got to go way back. Right back here when UNH was just shit in the bed all over the place. Someone had traded 5,000. Someone had opened 5,000 puts at the bid. So what day was this? This was August 18th. August 18th, 5,000 plus contracts traded. An increase in open interest of less than 5,000, but that's because that 5,000 size trade took up some of this open interest that was already there. So they didn't need to make 5,000 more contracts. There were already some contracts that were up for sale effectively. So so the open interest, yeah. So I hypothesized yesterday. Okay, so since back in the day, I saw a 5,000 size bid trade. Now I'm seeing a 5,000 size ask trade, and it makes perfect sense, right? Because I thought that they shorted puts back in the day, and now that the puts are close to worthless, they are presumably closing the position. And indeed, the position was closed, right? 5,000 contracts straight on the dot. But open interest, quote unquote, only decreases by 3,500 because some of the contracts that were closed were assumed by someone else. Now, that's not to mean that someone else is bullish or someone else is bearish UNH 250p. Someone could pick these up for whatever reason. It was probably another market maker just balancing their book, whatever it is. I don't know exactly why people do what they do. But yeah, the whole point is just to check on volume and open interest, the change, the relationship. Another one, Texas Roadhouse, 140p. We had closing activity on the 7th and on the 12th. Add up these two numbers, you get approximately 5,400. Was there a 5,400? Oh shit, look at that. Back in the day, there was do the math here. It's 5,400 open interest. So someone opened up 5,400 of these puts at the bid. So presumably shorting these puts, which is quote unquote a bullish trade. Someone opened 5,400 of them back in September. They had like open interest is still there. There's no volume, so no one's getting out of these contracts. And then lo and behold, they closed a whole bunch here. There's no change in open interest because someone on the other side was there to pick up the contracts. Yesterday's activity, there wasn't anyone on the other end. So literally every contract that they traded yesterday, all 1,030, all of those get closed out. So this is actually just an example of a full closeout. This is an example of where, someone else wanted to have 4,400 contracts for whatever reason. Pretty clean example. Like we can look at the if we look at the chart, I'm sure it'll even kind of help us out here. Yes, if you eyeball these candles, they're the same size. And if you do the math like we just did, 4,400 plus 1,000, 5,400, 600 plus 4,800, 5,400, right? It's sometimes when the math works out that easy, it's beautiful. It's not always that easy, right? This is just like a super ABC 1, 2, 3 example that the market gods have blessed us with. I think I had another NVIDIA contract that might have been a good example. Do I still have it? Do I still have it? I might have gotten rid of it. I think I might have gotten rid of it. Yeah, I got rid of it. But anyways, volume and open interest. Know it inside and out. Be able to explain it to someone. You have to know it so well that you can explain it to someone, right? That's how well you need to know it. And if you can't, that's fine. Just study a little more. Ask questions. That's fine. All right. We got 4 minutes left. I'll check out this last contract here. Someone has mentioned the BABA 1121 167.5 put as a good example of a contract handoff. So indeed, I can see right here a 10,000 size trade with only clearly not 10,000 decrease in open interest, right? Now, was there a day in which someone opened up 10,000? Back here on the 28th, there was more than 10,000 activity, but I bet if I look at the chart, it's probably going to be the same size. Look at that. So someone opened up a shit ton of BABA puts here at the ask, so maybe we can presume that there was a buy. They closed them here. If you're only looking at open interest, you might think, oh, they only closed 3,500. They might still be in the rest of the position. No, they're not. They closed. You got to look at the volume too, buddy. It's so fucking important. It's so important. You got to look at the volume and the open interest. Like I said, you got to know how it works inside and out. This contract handoff thing confused the shit out of me for a long time. So if you don't get it right now, don't feel subpar. It can be confusing. It took me a long time to figure it out. But whenever I see examples, I usually post them in the Flow discussion channel. I say, hey guys, check out this pretty good example of XYZ. I post them on Twitter when I see them. Is there any other? So like another example of like checking on open interest. What you can do is you can check out the Apple 280 end of month. So on the 11th, there was 10,000 plus traded in the morning. This morning there was 8,500 here, 3,300 here. So pretty fucking close math, right? I'm pretty sure that we're going to see a decrease in open interest tomorrow. If I change the candle size, like it's even more closely the same size. But of course, changing the candle to make it look like the same size is not really due diligence. I'm just trying to show you guys that it's very, very likely in this case probably the same trade. Yeah, I guess the 15-minute candle shows it kind of similarly as well. So you should see a decrease in open interest here tomorrow. What else? What else? Examples. Any other examples that I remember? We got 1 minute left here, so that'll just about do it while I flip through here and see if I can find anything that I remember. I don't remember. All right. But thank you guys for tuning in. This has been recorded. So I will throw it up on YouTube as well as Twitter sometime soon. Do I have anything else to say? Do I have anything else to say? I guess not. Yeah, take it easy out there, guys. Go for a walk if the market's stressing you out. Someone says go get some Chipotle. I went yesterday, so I can't go today. My mom says I can't go today. All right. See you guys later. Peace.